الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. صدق الله العظيم. My dear brothers and sisters, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sallu ala nabi. It is a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given us the path and the guidance of Islam. There are many people who have no guidance in their life, and we take it for granted. We do not appreciate this blessing enough, because there are many people who live without guidance. They do not know what the guidance is. They don't believe in guidance from Allah. And so they live their life in an aimless manner, in a manner of not knowing what is to come, not knowing why they were created, not knowing what their purpose here on this earth is. But we as Muslims, we have a great blessing. And the great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He has told us why He created us. And He has told us for what reason we are here. And He has told us what it means to live a life that is in harmony. What is harmony? What is harmony? There's something called, what is the opposite of harmony? It's confusion, discord, disharmony. Disharmony. You walk into a room and you see that people are fighting with each other, they are in conflict. Is that a place where you want to stay, or is it a place that you want to leave? If you walked into a room and people are fighting, are you going to sit there and just watch them? You're going to leave. You're going to say, this is too much for me. I don't really have time for this. Right? It feels weird in the heart. Okay? It feels weird in the heart. Right? Imagine you enter a room and your two family members are fighting about something. You'll leave it. You'll say, you know what? I don't need to be here right now. And that's disharmony. And that is what's happening in the hearts of people today. They do not have harmony in their hearts. They do not live lives in harmony, but rather they live lives of anxiety, lives of disharmony. Why? Because they don't know what they are here for. They don't know what their purpose is. They don't know what they are supposed to be doing. And so people, they find other things. So you will find people who their whole life is just their work. Because we live in a system that focuses on work. So if you work, you have purpose. If you do not work, you don't have purpose. If you work and you make good money, you have a good purpose. If you work and you make less money, that's not as good of a purpose, because we live in a money-oriented system called a capitalist system. Unfortunately, what's happened is that we have devalued the things that Islam actually values. What does Islam value more than anything? One of the things that Islam values more than anything else is motherhood. But motherhood does not have a dollar amount associated to it. And so mothers are devalued, subhanAllah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to respect our mothers. To respect our mothers and everything that they do for us. Because we do not value them enough in a capitalist system. And so people, they live their lives without purpose, and so they find their own purpose. So someone's purpose is, you know what, I just want to work so hard so I can get a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. And then once they get it, you know what, it's not enough. It does not fill the heart. I just want to work so much so that I can get this one thing. And then they get that thing and they realize it's not enough. It is an inadequate purpose. It is a purpose that is not in harmony with our creation. Young people, it's important there's no talking during the Salatul Jum'ah. No talking during the Salatul Jum'ah, please. Boys, no talking during Jum'ah. It's very important that we follow the etiquette of Jum'ah, which is you cannot talk during Jum'ah, otherwise you are breaking your Jum'ah. Not only that, but you are breaking the Jum'ah of your neighbors. You're breaking the Jum'ah of someone else. So now not only have you broken your Jum'ah, but you have broken the Jum'ah of someone else. And Allah will ask you. Allah will ask you, why did you do that? So don't do that. Pay attention. If you can't pay attention, you don't want to pay attention, then just look down. Don't talk to anybody. So as I was saying, people, they live their life without purpose. And we have this beautiful blessing of Islam. And you know what Islam has taught us? One of the things that Islam has taught us that is so important is the value of intention. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Many of you might have heard this hadith. It translates to, all of your deeds are only, إِنَّمَا, only by their intention. So if you do something good, but it wasn't intentional, it wasn't on purpose, it was by accident, then your reward is not the same as the person who does something good with intention, on purpose. And the Muslim, whatever the Muslim does everything with intention, with purpose. Sometimes we do it without purpose, sure. We are created with strengths and we are created with weaknesses, and sometimes we forget that is also part of our creation. But the ideal situation is that whatever we do it with purpose. We do it with purpose, whatever we do. If you choose to study something, to major, some of you are now getting to that age where you have to choose. You might say, you know what, I'm too young to choose. I'm only 18, I'm only 17, I'm only 16. I'm too young to choose what I want to do for the rest of your life. For the rest of my life, I'm too young. And while it's true that you don't have all the information at that age, guess what? 10 years, 5 years from there, you're going to be saying, you know what? I simply don't have enough information to get married. And then 5 years from then, you're going to be saying, you know what? I simply don't have enough information to have a child. You know what? So every time there will be an obstacle of not having enough information. But the Muslim makes a good intention and moves forward. A Muslim makes a good intention, makes a good plan, and then moves forward. A Muslim has a very important concept, which is at-tawakkul, which is to trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We now live in a world where everything tells us, don't trust yourself. Don't trust your confidence. Don't trust your faith. Don't trust in God. Don't trust in your parents. You can't trust anybody. That is what the world teaches us today. We have to be careful. Don't let the world put doubt in every aspect of your life. They are doubtful, yes. They are doubtful. They have so much doubt in their lives, they want you to be doubtful as well. The Quran has a term for this. It is called shak murib. Shak murib. Shak means doubt, and murib means the kind of doubt that gives you doubt. That someone has such a lack of confidence that just looking at them makes you lose your confidence. That someone has such a lack of confidence that they cannot believe that you believe something, that you have confidence in something, that you stand for something, that you have morals, that you have principles that you live by, that there's a red line of things you can do and cannot do. They cannot imagine it. I remember when we had our Ramadan iftar. We had the interfaith iftar where people came, all religions they came. We invited them to the masjid. Come see the masjid, come meet Muslims. It was in Ramadan. And I remember a young girl was there. She was not Muslim. She was sitting, she was watching, and she did not fast. Some people, they fasted that day. They said, you know what, the Muslims are fasting, so we will fast with them. She did not fast with the Muslims. She just came. She was a young girl. She just came and she sat down and she was watching, observing. And then the time came for open conversation. And she just said, I just don't get it. I said, what do you not get? And she said, I just don't get how there's delicious food right in front of you and you don't just eat it. I just don't comprehend that. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me that you have some line that is drawn. It doesn't make sense to me. How is it possible? But as Muslims, subhanAllah, Ramadan is a training that we don't even realize. It's a training for the rest of our life. That our whole life there are things that we as Muslims believe in, that we are confident in, that this is simply something I will not do because it is displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is enough. And so do not let the doubts of another people make you doubtful, because you have a great blessing, which is the blessing of Iman. And what that means is, what Iman means is that everything you do with an intention. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that all deeds are by their intention. And then the Prophet continues in this hadith and he says, whoever migrated for Allah, what was the migration? In Mecca, there was great persecution. The believers, the early believers with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, they were persecuted, they were attacked, they were tortured, they were harmed, they were killed. So much so that the Prophet ﷺ, there was a bounty on his life, that if someone kills the Prophet, they will be rewarded in this and this way. So the Muslims were persecuted in Mecca and they had to migrate and leave to Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever left Mecca and went to Medina for the purpose of pleasing Allah, then that is so great, that is so huge. And then there might be someone who migrated not for Allah but for some other reason, to get married. There was one person who wanted to get married to someone in Medina, so he went to Medina. Right? And everyone welcomed him. MashaAllah, you have come as a migrant, you have come as a muhajir, you've left everything behind in Mecca, you've sacrificed so much for Allah. And he's thinking, I just came here to get married. I didn't even come here I didn't even sacrifice all that, what you think I've done. I just came here to get married. So the Prophet ﷺ said, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ, then whosever migration is for some other purpose, then the reward of that person is limited to their purpose. So you can do something so great like migration to Medina. The people who migrated to Medina, they are enshrined in the Quran. They are the muhajirun forever from that day until the end of time. In Jannah even, they were known as muhajirun. One of the greatest things that anyone could have done was to leave everything behind and follow the Prophet to Medina. There's very few things greater than that. So you can do the greatest deed, but if you have the wrong intention, then that greatest deed becomes nothing. Subhanallah. So whatever you do with intention. You do with a purpose. And when you have an intention, then the thing that you do, no matter how small it is, it becomes great. So you do a great thing with no intention, doesn't matter. You do a small thing with a great intention, now that small thing becomes huge. You do a great thing with no intention, now that great thing is small. You've limited it, you've capped it. You've capped it and you've put a ceiling on it. And so have an intention. For example, let me give you a simple example. You open your book to do your homework. You do it every day. It's something small that you do every day. Maybe your parents say it's a big deal if you do it, right? But it's something you do every day. You open your book and you read and you do your homework, your math, your English, whatever. Now, if your intention is, let me just get done with this, or you have no intention, then you don't get rewarded. Then you're right, it is just nothing. It is just something you have to do. But if your intention is, I'm going to learn, I'm going to make myself stronger, I'm going to serve Allah with my education, with my knowledge, in whatever way I can think. I'm going to serve humanity. I'm going to be beneficial to the world around me. Now every letter you read, even if it's a math book, every number you write, now it becomes holy. It becomes sacred. It becomes intentional. If you sleep, and before you sleep, you say, I have the intention, Ya Allah, that I will sleep so I can rest, so I can be strong the next day, so I can do the things which are pleasing to you and live a life that is pleasing to you. Now even your sleep becomes worship of Allah. Now even your sleep, which is a small thing, it's not just a small thing, it's something you have to do. You literally cannot survive without sleep. Right? You will die without sleep. If you do not sleep for long enough, you will die. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you. But if you do not sleep for long enough, you will die. Your body needs it. So something you have to do, but you simply make an intention. Now your sleep has become sacred. Now your sleep has become full of barakah and blessing. One of my teachers, he said the problem with Muslims is not that we have bad intentions. The problem with Muslims is we have no intentions. It's important to have purpose. It's important to have intentionality. It's important to say, why am I pursuing this? We had a great conversation, I think 2-3 weeks ago, with a sheikh from California, Sheikh Omar Khan. Maybe some of you were there. And my takeaway from his talk, so he was someone who worked at SpaceX. He was the chief information officer. So in a company, the highest level of employees at a company is the people in what's called the C-suite. Okay? The highest level of people in any company is the C-suite. So you have the chief technology officer, the CTO. You have the CEO, the chief executive officer. You have the CSO, the chief sales officer, chief design officer. That's the highest level in a company. And so SpaceX, maybe you saw last week, they made the rocket come down and it caught in the tower. Maybe you saw the video. That company, This Muslim brother was the chief information officer and security officer of SpaceX. And so I asked him, what was it that got you as high as you got? Because not only was he the chief information officer at SpaceX, he's also a trained hafiz, alim, and mufti in Islam. So how did you do both of these things? What was the secret? And he said the secret was intention. If I was working somewhere, I asked myself, why am I working here? Why is everyone else working here? What are they doing? What's everyone's role? I don't just want to understand my specific work that I have to do today, but I'm trying to understand the system. I worked with intentionality. I worked with purpose. And when I was talking to some of the young guys who were in their 20s after the program, one of them said, I never thought of that. And he is an engineer at Amazon or something. And he said, I never thought of that. He said, I just go to work and I do my job and I get paid and then I go to the masjid. I don't think about why I'm working or how does my work benefit. And so the biggest thing he got out of it was, I need to have intentionality and purpose in everything, every sphere, every aspect of my life. And the more intentions and purpose I have, the more blessings and barakah I will get. And that is something which the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us when he said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that all deeds are by their intention. So when you go to school, have intention. When you study any subject, have intention. When you're struggling with the subject and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm just not good at this subject, I'm having such difficulty. How come Ahmad is having such an easy time and Fatima is having such an easy time and it's so difficult for me? Then renew your intention. Renew your intention. Renew your intention and say, you know what, I'm not going to compare there. I'm not going to compare there. I'm just going to focus on what is it that I need to do and how will this be pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what is the reason why I need this. Sometimes the reason why you need it is to simply get to the next level. So you just do what it is that you need to do in order to get to the next level, because that is the way the system is. And that's okay. So have intention behind everything. And intention is not just something you do at the beginning. Intention is something that continues. You have to refresh, even in the middle, even the next day, and the next day. Sometimes every day you have to refresh your intention. Why am I doing this? And you refresh your intention at the very end. Why did I do it? Why did I do this? It's harder at the end. It should be done at the beginning. But even at the end, you should say, why did I do that? And what is my next step? So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us to live a life of good intention. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us to have good niyyah and good intention. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. So the Prophet ﷺ, he told us that every deed is by its intention. And so let's all make an intention that we are going to have more good intentions so that we can live our life with purpose. And your life with purpose is not just when you're at the masjid, but it's also when you're at school, also when you're at work, also when you are at home, also when you are on the playground, also when you are on the field, when you're in the gym, when you're in the store, when you're online, and all of those aspects, on your phone, on the internet, and all of those aspects, what are the intentions and the purpose that we live by? And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us to do that. Because my brothers and sisters, we see what's happening in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Sudan. We see what's happening to our brothers and sisters around the world. And how can we take action? How can we seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The first step is having a good intention. The first step is if we strengthen ourselves, then we can be strong enough to help our brothers and sisters. Because we are not strong enough right now. We need to be stronger. How do we be stronger? by doing the things that we are obligated to do with ihsan. And when we are stronger, both in our deen and our dunya, both in our religion as well as in our worldly life, then we will be able to help our brothers and sisters in a way that no one can imagine. And that will not come from us, but it will come ultimately from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah is the one who is in control and we are not in control. We can only do what's required of us, and this is what is required of us. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps our brothers and sisters in Gaza and Palestine, in Lebanon and elsewhere around the world. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us to live our lives with intention and purpose. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استووا رحمكم الله. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.